What would you say if I told you there was a region of the world that was essentially untouched by modern exploration and mining practices? A region that is politically and economically stable and even part of the G7. And that region has slowly begun to open itself up to exploration, something that hasn't really happened since before the Second World War, for which there are only a couple of major players, with one main company holding over 3,000 square kilometers of the most prospective areas. Well, you'd have to know that we're talking about Japan, and the appropriately named Japan Gold. Let's dive in. Mining in Japan, particularly gold mining right now, is pretty well non-existent. Aside from a single mine operated by the Japanese conglomerate Sumitomo, there really is no domestic gold mining industry. And even that single mine that operates was effectively an accidental discovery. But the opportunity was too ripe to pass up.
There was an accidental discovery in 1981. The Geological Survey, the Metal Mining Agency of Japan, who would do sort of scientific tests relating to the country, drilled a vertical drill hole to measure the thickness of the young volcanic rocks. These are volcanic islands. And they just drilled 200 meters to the basement. And there they discovered what is today the highest grade tier 1 gold mine in the world, the Hishikari gold mine. It's a 13 million ounce plus ore body.
Wow.
They've already mined 8.6 million ounces,
Okay.
but the average grade is 30 to 40 grams per ton.
Wow.
Yet, despite that major discovery and the multi-decade contribution to GDP after the mine was put into production in 1985, the government of Japan for decades seemed disinterested in encouraging domestic mining, until 2012, when mining laws finally changed.
In 2012, the government changed the Mining Act to invite foreign companies to come in to restart the gold mining industry, because the communities where the closed gold mines are, that were closed in 1943 by the Japanese government in the middle of the Second World War, those mines that were closed after being fully operational have not been reopened yet. And so there's a large collection of those in Hokkaido in the north and in Kyushu in the south. And so they want to either restart those mines or make new discoveries in those same regions. Those areas have become very economically depressed, so they want to actually restart the economies.
And since the advent of that change in the government's outlook on the mining sector, one name has been involved in the country from the start: Japan Gold.
We've been there since 2012. And since 2012, we've been restarting the industry. We've been doing massive programs of geochemistry, geophysics, et cetera. And we've identified what we think are the best areas in Japan. We've also highlighted or been very clear on what our target is. And our minimum target is 1 million ounces at 7 grams per ton.
All right, that's the 30,000-foot view of the company. Japan Gold is exploring a geographic region that has been closed off to exploration and development since the Second World War. There's unmatched opportunity with the country home to one of the top gold mines in terms of both grade and scale globally. And they've got vast exploration assets in a country where they've been a key player in establishing the exploration industry as a whole. Now, let's get a bit more granular. Japan, as a mining jurisdiction, is said to host over 70 historic gold mines of significance, which includes at least 5 that had deposits that were over 1 million ounces in size. Yet despite those significant gold deposits, mining has been effectively non-existent since the end of the Second World War across the entire country due to a government moratorium. To add to that mix, foreign companies were not permitted to explore or mine in country. At least that is until 2012. When the government finally changed its stance in a bid to kickstart regional economies. Japan Gold was the first to capitalize on this opportunity when it presented itself, with the company holding the distinction of being the first foreign company to apply for prospecting licenses, which also meant they had the opportunity of a lifetime to stake claims on the most prospective ground in the country. And with over 70 historic mines across the country, there was plenty of opportunity. Fast forward to today, after a decade of paring down their tenements to only the best of the best, and Japan Gold boasts a portfolio of 26 tenements across the 3 largest islands of Japan. These tenements are spread across 4 distinct regions of Japan, which correlate to historic mineral production. Projects in the north, on the island of Hokkaido, surround the historic Konomai mine, which produced 2.35 million ounces. On Honshu in central Japan, projects are near to the historic Sato mine, which produced 2.5 million ounces over nearly 400 years of operation. And in Japan's south, on the island of Kyushu, projects are near to the historic Taiyo mine, which produced 1.2 million ounces, the historic Kushi Kino mine, which produced 1.8 million ounces historically, and the Hishikari mine, the only operating mine in the country which to date has extracted over 8.6 million ounces from the ground. As far as current exploration goes, Japan Gold is in the process of filtering through their projects to determine which assets are best focused on for advancement. Following an alliance with Barrick Mining that saw $23 million in exploration spend across their asset base, Japan Gold is now armed with a comprehensive database of geochemical and geophysical data covering the majority of their 3,000 square kilometer portfolio of mineral rights. Data which is now being used to identify which projects are best to capitalize on. Drill testing has occurred across a total of 8 properties, with at least one of those assets expected to see further follow-up drilling as part of a 2025-2026 exploration strategy. Priority targets for this include the Ebino and Mizobi targets, which surround Sumitomo's Hishikari mine within the Hokusatsu district of Kyushu. The two targets collectively have seen over 4,000 meters of drilling completed, with a 1,600-meter drill program currently underway at Mizobi, where broad zones of mineralization have been identified below post-mineralization cover. Past drilling here has seen highlight intersects that include 4.27 grams per ton gold over 10 meters and 1.6 grams per ton gold over 4 meters, with further exploration aiming to build upon these results. But those aren't the only targets that exist in the portfolio. Not by a long shot. Initial scout programs totaling over 20,000 meters of drilling have taken place across the asset base. And well, that's just the start. The long list of prospects has resulted in Japan Gold taking on a sort of project generator model, with the company seeking partners to assist in the exploration of all of these opportunities. And there's a lot of reasons for those potential partners to get involved. First, Japan Gold is unmatched in terms of their ability to navigate the current permitting environment. They practically helped write the current rulebook. And well, they didn't get to their size in terms of portfolio by not understanding the system. Second, there's the database they've assembled over the last decade of operating in the country, which has identified all of those priority targets that they want to see exploration dollars spent on. Over $23 million in data points exist within that database, from geochem to geophysics and initial drill data. So partners aren't exactly starting from scratch. Third, Japan is a unique region. Despite several decades of nearly non-existent mining, the country actually has over 5 centuries of mining history, particularly in gold. 76 gold mines were operational before that government directive was issued amid the Second World War to shut things down. On top of that, there's interesting economics at play for mine development. Despite the lack of domestic mining, Japan has something that a lot of other regions lack: smelters, 28 of them to be exact. As it stands, Japanese base metal smelters import raw materials for refinement and smelting. That smelting requires silica, which means that silica-rich gold ore produced from epithermal deposits is best suited as a source of that silica, meaning a gold producer doesn't need to bother with the hassle of a processing plant, mill, or flotation equipment to extract that gold. Instead, they direct ship the ore to the smelters and they handle the rest, resulting in significantly reduced capex and opex for a mine, provided they have a low sulfide deposit. The blue sky potential here is immense. Barrick's involvement should speak for itself. And on top of that, Barrick isn't the only major that has been involved here. In terms of ownership structure, Japan Gold has just under 305 million shares outstanding, with the company valued at a little over $40 million Canadian at the time of recording. As for shareholders, 63% of the company is owned by institutions and funds, while Newmont, the largest gold miner globally, holds 8% of the company, management and insiders own 3%, and retail owns about 26%. On top of that, the company has seen 17 million US dollars in non-dilutive funding from Barrick, while a recent transaction with Osisko Royalties provided 5 million US dollars for exploration funding in exchange for a 1.5% net smelter return royalty on the portfolio. We should also mention that the company is led by John Proust, whom is CEO and chairman, and has over 35 years of experience in the resource sector. Other notable names include COO and director Takashi Kuriyama, who spent 40 years as executive vice president of Sumitomo Metal Mining and formerly was the general manager of the Hishikari mine. Ian Barry, an independent director and Canada's former ambassador to Japan, and Michael Carrick, a director who is also the chairman of RTG Mining and developed 7 gold mines over the span of his career. Jason Leto, who spent 21 years with Vale, serves as VP of Exploration, while Fraser McCorkadale, who has over 35 years of exploration experience in the area of gold and copper and formerly was employed at Newcrest, serves as Senior Technical Advisor. All right, so let's wrap it up. We said it before, but Japan Gold can be summarized quite succinctly. They're a major player in a geopolitically stable region that has been closed off to exploration since the Second World War. With unmatched opportunity in terms of exploration potential for both grade and size, and have become the de facto exploration name in the region. They've got a history of working with gold majors in country, and there's speculation that post-Barrick, others of similar scale may want in. And they're backed by some of the biggest names in the industry, despite their small size. What more could you want out of a gold junior? All right, everybody, thanks for watching. As always, if there's stories you want us to cover, let us know in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. All right, everybody, thanks for watching.